So it's like, yeah, it's a joke. Nobody's advocating drug use. But it's like kind of real at the same time. You can't even do cocaine in this country. Guys, how many people, see if we can get a number on that real quick. It's probably zero when I was a kid. Probably zero. So people might have OD'd, but they weren't dying from fentanyl. If you were, the cruiser sim out here talking about ODing in the 80s, if you OD on cocaine, that's a totally different story than snorting a line of cocaine and dying from fentanyl, is what I'm saying. See if we can find, now the crew's basically scolding me saying people have been dying from drug use all the time. Okay, I'm not advocating drug use, I'm not denying that. I'm saying a kid at a party who might want to try to do cocaine, whenever it was not risking snorting a line and dying from fentanyl, is what I'm saying. Probably thousands of fentanyl deaths are happening now. It used to be zero. So whatever, if I'm taking the L on this, the crew's giving me the L. They're saying I'm taking the L on this. Again, I'm not advocating drug use here, but it's funny, but it's like true. Yeah, you can't even do cocaine. You might die from fentanyl now. That's how messed up the country is. So you guys just not even going to give me the numbers on fentanyl? Is that what you're doing to me now too? Wow, we're really not liking this segment. So let's just move on. No. We'll just move on. How many deaths? Here we go. No. Well, that's cocaine deaths? So look at that. The cocaine deaths have basically gone straight up. Or that's by opioids or cocaine. You guys aren't giving me what I want. We're done. No. You're not giving me the information I want. Wow, I'm just have to move on. It was a good clip though. It was funny. Can't even do cocaine in this country anymore. That's funny. Even J.D. Vance laughed at that, and I can't get anything from the crew here? I can't get any cooperation? Good Lord, I gotta move on. Unbelievable. All right, let's get into the election. Let's just get into the election then. Okay. North Carolina, early voting, having problems. Local news report, clip 8.
In an election that's expected to be tight, every ballot counts. But it wasn't until Channel 9 got involved that one man got his vote back. Enthused about voting early, Connor Brennan says he got quite the shock Tuesday when he took his lunch break to go cast a ballot at the Bank of America stadium site.
To think of how easy it was for this to happen, it's thought-provoking.
When he thought he would be headed back to the booth, the poll worker instead told him he actually did not vote.
So somehow someone went to early vote, had my first name, last name, date of birth, and changed my address, and was able to vote as me.
That's very alarming.
It's very alarming.
The situation, understandably, raised all kinds of suspicions.
Is it just the voting part, or do I have a bigger problem with the identity theft piece?
He says he left not knowing where to turn, and also wondering if he would be able to participate at all in the upcoming election.
All they could offer up at the time was that I filled out a provisional ballot.
But as we were interviewing Connor, I received a return call from Mecklenburg County Elections Director Michael Dickerson. After explaining the situation, Dickerson did some digging.
Yeah.
Is that your correct?
No, that's not
that's not his correct. Finally, an answer for this very concerned voter. There's another Connor Brennan in Charlotte, but that person has a different date of birth and address.
So what they did was put that in as this new one in as you.
Yeah.
Huh. That's odd.
How much of this involves human error?
It's all human error.
Dickerson explains election workers incorrectly associated our Connor's information with one that voted in South End.
Well, what should have happened was back here, we should have noticed it before it went out, that this is a different date of birth.
Dickerson says the other voter's ballot is fine, and this Connor is now cleared to vote.
The good thing of it was we had a paper trail, a record of everything that went through there so we could easily correct.
So I've been listening to a lot of discussion on this topic of early voting. I don't really like early voting. I don't really advocate for early voting. And I've kind of been listening to some discussions on both sides. And I will say the strongest argument that I've heard in favor of early voting, and that's a perfect example, is you never know what kind of errors can happen. You could show up and have the same thing happen. Oh, you've already voted, and then you have to go through some process to be cleared to vote again. You could show up to vote on election day, there might be all kinds of errors. They might shut the place down. So again, I don't like all these new voting things because I think it's all right for corruption. But if there's an argument for early voting, you know, maybe that's it. And that's the strongest one I've heard, and there's a perfect example of why. I mean, probably even stronger than avoiding the long lines. If you think the early voting gives the cheaters the margins they need to know to cheat, that's a concern. But if you think, well, I might run into a situation on election day where I can't even vote, then there's an example right there. Now, in Minnesota, which not many, if anybody's really expecting Trump to win, it's, if you don't have any shenanigans, maybe he does. Maybe here's some proof. A Minnesota bakery has been conducting a cookie poll, and Trump is winning the cookie poll by nearly 3,000 votes. Quick report, clip 18. Oh, it's not a report, it's just a video. Yeah, okay. So there you go. All right. So Trump winning the cookie poll in Minnesota, but you know that you do have a large Arab population in Minnesota, Michigan. Maybe it swings it for Trump. Maybe that's hopeful thinking. The Democrats run those states and, you know, get away with anything. And I just expect what we saw in 2020 to happen again in the states that the Republicans haven't had legal victories. But you know what? I think I'll do an update tomorrow. I think I'm going to do an update tomorrow. We'll do an electoral college update tomorrow. That's what we'll do. By the way, here's Joe Biden. We mentioned this earlier. Let's show you the clip. Joe Biden saying we have to lock Trump up in clip 20.
He is talking about doing away with the entire Department of Education. He's talking, he means it. This is not a joke. This is a guy who also wants to replace every civil servant, every single one. Thinks he has a right under the Supreme Court ruling on immunity to be able, if need be,
That was the Supreme Court ruling.
in case, to actually eliminate, physically eliminate, shoot, kill someone who he believes to be a threat to him.
What?
I mean,
What does this even mean?
so I know this sounds bizarre.
It
sounds
does.
like I said this 5 years ago. You locked me up. We gotta lock him up.
And they cheered. And they're trying to lock him up. And then he's like, oh, I'm just being politically. Yeah, oops. No, we know what you mean. They're the ones trying to kill him, lock him up, destroy him, try to stop me from voting for him. By the way, here he is shuffling, ignoring they caught up with him getting off Air Force One. They tried to get clarification on that statement. Just roll clip 12 here. This is a man, he can't be, look, he's not running anymore, so it's over. But I mean, just look at the state of this guy. He can't even walk. It's the Biden shuffle. Do the Biden shuffle. All right. That's it. All right. Here's some interesting news out of Maricopa County. That's Arizona. That's Phoenix, Arizona. If we have voting machines and it still takes weeks to get the results, then why do we have voting machines? Listen to what they're saying in Arizona. Shenanigans, already shenanigans, clip 24.
Very tight races here. In fact, Maricopa County setting the stage that tabulating all these votes may not be an election night thing. It may take days.
Well, 12 News journalist Colleen Sikora explains the county leaders are asking voters for patience and to be prepared.
Tight races, high interest in the election, and a 2-page ballot are leaving Maricopa County officials warning of lines on election day and also warning it's going to take them 10 to 13 days to tabulate results. 2 pages and an average of 79 contests per ballot.
We are expecting heavy turnout this year, and so that's why we're really encouraging people to vote early.
2 weeks out from election day, and
few days, we've actually seen an uptick in turnout. So I am expecting that we will start approaching very close to those 2020 numbers.
What can impact the amount of results released and when? Early ballots dropped off on Election Day.
Our races will be close.
And on Election Day, lines are expected, even with an increase in vote centers and voting booths at those vote centers.
If you're going to vote on Election Day, vote in person and use that on-site tabulator so that those votes will be tabulated on that evening as opposed to dropping off your early ballot on Election Day.
The county adding more high-speed tabulators, more election workers.
We're increasing staffing at our ballot processing as well because, again, we're handling double the number of the sheets of paper.
Wow.
And so we are looking to both have extra shifts, night shifts, if necessary, in ballot processing, and then in the next
There's
step
plenty of
that
people that
takes
try to
place
become
in
poll
election
workers who
registration.
deny
And
them.
that's through
Because they're
tabulation.
Republicans.
But tabulation expected to take time.
We do expect that it will take between 10 and 13 days to complete tabulation.
I mean, guys, this is just a joke. It's a joke. So I think we all know what that translates to, don't we? Good news is there's a path to victory without Arizona, but it requires Georgia, where they're going to pull the same shenanigans. Oh my. Oh my. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris can't even get support from her own people, folks. Los Angeles Times won't endorse Kamala Harris for president. Kamala Harris dealt blow by home state newspaper. Ladies and gentlemen, the Los Angeles Times endorsed Kamala Harris for district attorney. The Los Angeles Times endorsed Kamala Harris for Senate. They endorsed Kamala Harris for VP. And they won't endorse her for president. Wow. They're all complaining about Elon Musk throwing billions of dollars at this election. What about Bill Gates? Says he has backed Kamala Harris with a $50 million donation. Wonder if we'll be hearing about any of that or any of this. Bill Gates' lawsuit for vaccination damage continues. Judges find themselves competent. Bill Gates loses and will have to appear before the Dutch court, standing trial in the Netherlands for COVID vaccine injury. You know, I've got this heartbreaking story here. We'll take it to the end of the show, clip 30.
The DTaP, the hip, polio.
At this stage, almost 4 months. I mean, it's very hard to see it.
Fucking go or not?
Two beautiful boys' lives destroyed.
Yeah.
And do they? I mean, we've just been sitting staring. This is what their life is like. What can they do? I mean, I'm
This
sorry
is
to be
it.
so blunt, but
Yeah,
it's
this is
I've
it.
never seen anything like this.
This is at their 2-year-old, 2-month-olds. You know, they're frozen in time. The shots froze them in time.
Let's just say a 2-month well baby visit. There's a DPT, that's 3 shots, 3 antigens. Hip, Prevnar, Hep B, polio, rotavirus, 6 shots, 8 antigens.
Other people who couldn't even come onto the bus, who had to stay outside the bus, and we had to move all of our equipment outside and interview them there.
All right, folks. It's just heartbreaking. You see this, what they're doing to the kids. It's just soul crushing. I couldn't imagine it as a parent. Let me say to you, folks. All right. We take a 21-hour break here on the InfoWars War Room. We'll see you tomorrow.
As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA.
A few weeks ago, when I saw Elon Musk in Pennsylvania with Trump at Butler, he had
Warning on indoctrinated.
hat on. I said, we've got a hat on. Come out with it. Yeah, we can put one out in the news that says Make America Great Again. It's available at thealexshowstore.com. But I personally like this one. Murdered out. It fits great, and it funds the info war and supports President Trump. And if you don't like Murdered Out, we got it white on black. So get yours right now, and a bunch of other great designs of hoodies and t-shirts and top-of-the-line supplements that all fund the Second American Revolution at thealexshowstore.com. Let me show you a few more of these. Now the FDA admits fluoride does lower your IQ and give you cancer and infertility. It's a great time to wear one of these beautiful hats, and it's a great way to start a conversation and warn people. Here's the classic Make America Great Again Murdered Out. And we've got the Save the Frogs, over 50 designs, all at thealexshowstore.com, and it keeps us on air and it spreads the word. Please go to alexshowstore.com and get your Patriot gear. A new, extremely important product is now available exclusively at thealexjonesstore.com. Ultimate probiotic. This is a private label, but even made stronger, one of the top, highly recommended, highly rated brands out there today. And it's more than just a probiotic. It's got a whole bunch of known natural ingredients that boost your overall gut health and that detoxify and that helps flush out all the garbage in your body. Ladies and gentlemen, all the attacks on our bodies, you have to understand that the gut is the front line. If you don't have a strong gut, it's like a
fucking asshole
on your house or an engine in your car. The gut is so important. Probiotics are amazing. They're documented with their great effects. Get this high-quality probiotic right now. Ultimate Probiotic, 60 million at thealexshowstore.com. And I want to thank you for your support. Take action at thealexshowstore.com. Again, I thank you for your support.
After being taken to a hospital for a drug overdose, Anthony Hoover woke up in the middle of having surgeons cutting him open to harvest his organs. Hoover's sister noticed his eyes open and look around with emotion, but she was told that it was just reflexes. The staff told his family that Hoover had given permission for his organs to be donated and that he was declared to be brain dead. But according to a witness, he woke up, began thrashing around, crying, and making attempts to speak, which was ignored by doctors at first. An hour later, the doctors finally stopped because he was showing too many signs of life. Hoover is now recovering from these wounds. This is not an abnormal event. In the medical industry, there is a huge demand for living organs, which is why the term brain dead was invented.
The way it occurred was that Christian Bernard did the first heart transplant in South Africa in 1967. 3 days later, they did the second heart transplant. And you don't know where that is, but I'll tell you, it was done in Brooklyn, New York. And what they did is they cut the beating heart out of a 3-day-old baby and transplanted it into an 18-day-old baby. And at the end of their surgeries, a short time after the end of their surgeries, both of those babies were dead. It was illegal, it was immoral. And so they had to do something to make it legal. And so what they did is they set up a committee at Harvard, and the committee invented brain death. The committee did not do studies on dogs or cats or rats. They didn't collect data on human beings, they just invented brain death. It doesn't get better. It keeps getting worse after that. And a lot of people think that brain death means flat brainwaves. They're not even required to do brainwave testing. The way they did that, they studied 9 patients, and 2 of the 9 still had brainwave activity. And then they concluded no longer is it necessary to look at brainwaves, so it's not required to look for brainwave activity.
So when you're doing the transplantation on people they say are brain dead,
They're all alive. They give paralyzing agents when they take the organs so that they don't move and they don't squirm. And even if they don't move and don't squirm, and they cut on them, their heart rate goes up and their blood pressure goes up, which is the response to pain. But they can't demonstrate that they have pain.
because they're paralyzed. Medically
They're paralyzed.
them,
Yeah.
so they can't respond by.
Right.
That's horrible. Horrible.
And it gets really bad if you pay attention to it.
Apparently, we are having a human organ shortage.
The United States, over 100,000 people waiting for organs, and there's additions on a weekly basis to that list, and fewer people coming off the list. And so we're in this constant state of crisis trying to find organs for people in need.
The demand for young, healthy human organs is much greater than the available supply. And while we are mostly told about the life-saving aspect of organ donation, private industry is hungry for young living bodies too. Medical research personnel call these beating heart cadavers. And according to MIT Technology Review, donated bodies are powering gene-edited organ research. As more and more young people overdose on fentanyl, the human organ business gives thanks.
started sweeping the nation, and health experts say the only silver lining has been the increase in life-saving organs for transplants.
Organ donors who have died from drug overdoses have increased by 500%. 500%, that's huge.
That's huge.
A trend they really started to notice 4 years ago. Classes said it started in New England, spread through Appalachia, then to the upper Midwest, now claiming the lives of those all across the country.
Reporting for InfoWars, this is Greg Reese.
Halloween horror story from Greg Reese, organ harvesting and the brain death fallacy.
As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA.
Morning, JC.
All of which proved to be total duds, total failure, hilariously embarrassing. So we'll cover the political stuff. But at this point, I think the campaign is over. I don't think there's going to be a lot of movement in the next 11 days. In terms of people still up in the air who they want to choose. But I'm going to tell you right now, the steel is on in a very real way. I got some inside information yesterday, and I'll tell you about it. And I feel a very heavy obligation to try to use this platform to do something about what's going on, because it is egregious, it's blatant, and they're going to win if they get away with it. It's happening in every major city, and I got the inside scoop of how they're doing it, how they're making it happen. And so I'll do the Daily Dispatch first. I got all these videos. There was CNN town hall, and Kamala's calling Trump Hitler, and it's all nonsense. We'll get to some of this. But really, I think all of it pales in importance when compared to what is going on behind the scenes as votes are being counted as we speak, and have been for the last 2 weeks. The mail-in ballots, the military overseas votes. The vote is being rigged in a very real way. And the Republican Party is full of traitors. It's full of traitors. It's the only way I can explain it, because you can't be this incompetent. You can't accidentally fail to uphold the most basic tenets of our republic in the way that they are. It's really astonishing, and I'm going to issue a very real call to action about this. And I kind of just want to like plan it out here. Maybe we'll just take your calls, because it's like we have so many people, we have so many great reporters, great investigators, activists on our side, and it's like if we don't activate right now, we have 11 days left. If we don't put a stop to the fraud, the grifting, the scams going on right now, campaigns don't matter. None of it matters. They're rigging the vote. I'll tell you how they're doing it. I'll tell you what you can do to stop them in just a second. We'll begin today. However, as we always do with our daily dispatch. Here it is, folks, your daily dispatch for Thursday, the 24th of October, 2024. Swing state McDonald's threatened after Trump visit. Owner retains private security. Yes, and yet another example of the loving unity of the left. Donald Trump does a fun photo op at McDonald's, and now they had to hire private security because they're being attacked. The Mijos family was enjoying a meal Monday at McDonald's in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, the same restaurant where former President Trump worked the drive-thru Sunday. They noticed something peculiar, strange. A group of armed guards clad in bulletproof vests. Yeah, they've been receiving threatening phone calls and social media messages following Trump's visit. Jim Worthington, the leader of Pennsylvania's delegation of the Republican National Convention, is one of the key organizers of the Trump McDonald's visit, told DCNF as a precaution to protect his employees, the franchise owner Derek, Italian last name, has retained the private security force he'd hired in the lead up to the event, said Worthington, who was communicating on behalf of the owner of the McDonald's.
Welcome to Wendy's. I have like a 3-4 minute wait on any eggs, but I do have everything
very simple and fun, and
I have a mobile order in for Norm.
Whatever.
Just the French toast sticks and coffee.
Babies,
right, go ahead and pull forward second window. Thank you.
Work in McDonald's for an afternoon. And the left just flips out about it. Trump is Hitler. This was all staged. They weren't real customers. Like, just flipping out about it. And then the store is getting threatening phones. President Manchin calling Trump Hitler. A completely hilarious Hail Mary.
Did you just
desperate.
Yeah, usually as I'm pulling in is when I do it. Yeah, 108 East Main.
Desperation. It reeks. Trump blast degenerate lowlife John Kelly over Hitler allegations. Former President Donald J. Trump, the GOP.
Oh, looks like it went in as a pickup instead of a.
That's why I had to
John Kelly, Trump's former chief of staff, claimed that Trump wanted generals like Hitler and declared that Nazis, quote, did some good things. Oh my God. Yeah, who cares? No one cares. I'm not even going to comment on it because who cares? Shut up, John Kelly. You're a liar. You're an idiot. If this was such a big concern, why'd you wait until 2 weeks before the election to bring it out? Because you're a political hack. Nobody cares. Literally. Nobody cares. Although some people care. Some people do care in the sense that they care about the office of the vice presidency.
Thanks, JC. I'll be on. I'll do a desktop stream today too.
To benefit a campaign against, somebody that half of America is voting for by calling him Hitler. See, that is a violation of the Hatch Act. So people do care about that. Some people do care about that. Representative Corey Mills is asking Attorney General Merrick Garland to investigate Vice President Kamala Harris over comments she made at a Washington, D.C. press conference. In a Wednesday letter sent to Garland and shared with the Washington Examiner, Mills accused Harris of possibly violating the Hatch Act, which prohibits using official resources to support partisan political campaigns, due to her vicious political attacks against former President Donald Trump. I don't know if there's ever been a more clear violation of the Hatch Act. I mean, they didn't even couch it in... it's not like she was giving an official press conference as vice president about something that concerns the American people and happened to mention at the time that Donald Trump... No, she gave she stood in front of the presidential podium with the seal of the United States, in front of the vice president's mansion, operating in her official capacity as vice president, and gave a campaign speech where she slandered her opponent. If that's not a violation of the Hatch Act, I don't know what is. So something has to be done about that. Meanwhile, this was a major story yesterday. It's in the New York Times, but as reported in the New York Post, woke doc refused to publish $10 million trans kids study that showed puberty blockers didn't help mental health. A prominent doctor and trans right activist admitted she deliberately withheld publication of a $10 million taxpayer-funded study on the effects of puberty blockers on American children after finding no evidence that they improve patients' mental health. Dr. Johanna Olson Kennedy told the New York Times that she believed the study would be weaponized by critics of transgender care for kids, and the research could one day be used in court to argue we shouldn't use blockers. Okay, do we even need to expand on it? It's the same thing over and over. It's if their policy, if their beliefs contradict reality, reality gets the short straw. They submerge reality in what they want to be true. It's a dangerous mindset, but it's their mindset. I mean, this is just what they do. Negative outcomes are buried, covered up, hidden, called hate speech, whatever it is, whether it's the crime rate or the crime from immigration or the effect of puberty blockers or the effectiveness of the vaccine. Like time and time again, they have something they want to push. It is totally unrelated and divorced from reality and actual positive outcomes, but it doesn't matter because that's not what they care about. They care about their ideology. They care about pushing this agenda that they're on, and they know it's not good. They know that
frustrating.
It doesn't actually help the children, but they're pushing.
Thought I ordered something that they'd have quick.
Evil scumbags.
I'm kind of in a hurry.
Psychopaths. Like, who cares? Who knows? I don't know. But it's dangerous. It has to end. These people have to be punished, held to account. This is the sort of theme that we're getting here. Is people keep breaking laws and violating oaths and just acting immorally and just lying to our faces, and nothing's ever done about it. So why don't we do something about it for the love of God? I'm just trying to calm down here. Defense Ministry orders a fallen IDF soldier's family to remove a headstone. The Defense Ministry of Israel is attempting to reach an agreement with the family of Sergeant David Bogdanovsky, who fell in battle in the South Gaza Strip in December, to remove a cross from his headstone. By law, it's not permissible to place a cross or other religious marker on a military headstone, the ministry said. So a Christian died fighting for Israel, and now Israel is suing to remove his headstone because it has a cross. And for the moment, the cross has been covered up by a blanket. That headstone has been covered up because you can't have a cross.
It's ridiculous.
Because they hate Jesus. I don't know if you're aware of this. You know, Israel doesn't use the plus sign because it looks too much like a cross. They have their own plus sign. It's like a plus sign, but with the top cut off, so it's just a line and then a line underneath it. That's what they use as a plus sign, as to avoid even accidentally making the sign of the cross, which is like crazy, which is like a crazy Nazi level censorship insanity. And it's one of the things where people always...
Thank you.
And it is kind of annoying when you have like a picture of Netanyahu and he's got the Hitler mustache, and they're like, the Zionists or the real Nazis. It's
I
like,
had a large order that needed to go out, so she wanted to do it all together.
That's just historically illiterate. But when it comes to like severity of censorship and like this isn't out of the line of what you would expect the Nazis to do, right? Like if the Nazis were in power and a Jewish guy serving in the Nazi army and died, and then they said, well, sorry, you have to remove his headstone because it has a Star of David and that's not allowed. Like, I don't even know if the Nazis went that far. I think you could, I mean, they made the Jews wear Stars of David, so, you know, I don't know, it's like farther than the Nazis went, I think. I think if you were a Jew in Nazi Germany, you could still have a 6-pointed star on your headstone, but not as a Christian in Israel in 2020.
Gonna be stopped in the road?
There is that. Greatest allies, remember? That's your daily dispatch. Now,
look at this car. Fucking parked like a douche. Man, what is going on this morning?
I got a call yesterday. I'll just tell you how I experienced this and just give you the insight I received. I get a call yesterday from my dad.
Ohio State fan there.
Answer the phone. Hey, what's up, Dad? He is on the line with the head Republican poll watcher of Harris County, Houston, Texas. And she is freaking out and begging for help. And she starts we're on the phone for like an hour, and she's just going the entire time, just
all right, guys,
laying out.
I will try and set up a
and how it's working,
desktop screen today. Yesterday I was buried. I'm just taking a breather today.
In Harris County in
I have a large the old man here.
Ellis, in that city.
All right, guys, I'll see you later.
We covered the story yesterday. Harris County election supervisor hasn't shown up to work in 4 years, hasn't clocked
Probably
in
doesn't,
since
shouldn't have a
2020.
license anymore.
So there's that.